Yeah, welcome back. So today we will start looking into the concepts of power and derive the expressions for average power, reactive power, power factor for single phase circuits. So I will start with a very simple resistive circuit. I have a voltage source written as Vm cos omega t, which is supplying a resistor R. So the current is going to be Vm cos omega t by R amperes, and the polarities are marked here for Vr of t. This is the current of t, and everything is going to be sinusoidal at one frequency omega. Now, if you look at the instantaneous power, this is instantaneous power consumed by resistor. So then that is going to be VR, the voltage across of it, which is a function of time, times IR of it, which is the current flowing through it, which is also a function of time. So now we know that V is Vm cos of omega t, I is Im cos of omega t, and so this I'm sorry, just a minute. And so therefore the instantaneous power will become Vm square cos square omega t, because both current is cos of omega t, voltage is also cos of omega t. Vm appears here, Vm appears here, resistor comes in denominator, cos square of omega of t. So if you plot this instantaneous power, the way it is going to look is it's a square signal, cos square. So because it is cos square, it is always non-negative, so greater than or equal to 0. It's never going to be 0. And it's like rectifying. Let me draw it. 1 minute. I'll draw with sine square, but the cos square also looks okay. I'll draw with cos square, no problem. Let's keep this here. Let's say we have a cos signal, so it comes to 0 here, uh, goes to its negative peak here, comes back to 0, and then increases to its positive peak here. Okay, so this is my cos of omega t, or Vm cos of omega t, Vm cos of omega t signal. Now I am going to draw something. Vm square by R is just a scaling factor. So what we need to, will assume that this everything constants are like unity or so. So we are more interested in. So let's say that our signal was 1 cos omega t, for the sake of description here, that is going on here. So that I am focusing on the behavior of cos square of omega t. So now if you square this square, if you square it, some this thing would come as so let's first square it here. Let me first square it. It is not drawn very symmetrically, but it's a symmetric waveform like this. If it's unity, of course it will square to unit value only. So therefore this thing would uh, some okay. Let's assume that this is 2, because I think unit becomes a very special case. So I prefer to use this value 2. So if I use this value 2 and square it, then I'll get the peak will go to, that number will go to 4. if we use a different color for this, so where this is 2, I'll get something like 4 coming here, something like 4 coming here, and it will be rectified. The negative will become positive, and similarly this side it will come from this to 0, and then here it will again rise like this. So you can now see that, and what I am trying to do, so this is going to be the cos square 4 cos square omega t signal. So this is the 4 cos square omega t signal, and now what we are trying to do, so we see that the instantaneous power is pulsating. Once something is pulsating, then the next question that comes to my mind is, what is the average power? So the average power, which I have defined it as P average here, is essentially, when dealing with sinusoids, will be the power which will be consumed in one time period. So omega is 2 pi by t. Omega is 2 pi by t, and so the average power is going to be, take the integrate the power from over one time period, and then scale it by the t factor. Or what I have done is, I have also added omega here, and dt I have changed to omega d omega t, that is multiplied by numerator and denominator by omega, and moved the omega into the differential, so that omega t can be replaced by 2 pi. And now here, when I did that omega d omega t stuff, then the upper limit of integration changed from t to omega t, which is but omega t is essentially angle, so it's cos square theta Vm square by r cos square theta d theta, now integrated from 0 to 2 pi. And if you look at, if you look at this fact that the Vm square by r is constant, then I can write it more neatly as Vm square by r into integral of 1 by 2 pi uh, integral of cos square theta d theta, from cos square theta from 0 to 2 pi, and averaged over the cycle, which is the 2 pi value. So what is 1 by 2 pi 0 to 2 pi cos square theta? That is half. How? Because cos square theta can be written as 1 plus cos 2 theta by 2. Then this becomes a DC signal, fixed value 1 over whole of the interval 0 to 2 pi. So therefore its average will come out to be 1 by 2 itself. And if you take cos 2 theta and integrate it, it will turn out to be sin 2 theta by 2. And then if you look at integral of sin 2 theta from if you look at sin to 4 pi minus sin 0, that is 0 sin 0 minus 0 0 minus 0, so therefore it will turn out to be 0. So this integral will turn out to be one half, which you can easily verify yourself also. And hence the P average, which is the power consumed by this resistor in one cycle, in one time period, is going to be Vm square by 2r, half of Vm square by r, and that is going to be, can also be expressed as Vm by root 2 into Vm by root 2, which I'll just show you now is called the RMS voltage of the signal, of the voltage signal, and hence can be written as Vrms square by R watts. Please always write the units, keep a habit of writing units whenever you do your problems. It's very important not to forget the units. Okay, now let's see what this RMS value is. So RMS stands for root mean square. so which means that first you square the signal, so v square of t, then integrate it complete over the cycle, and then take its average. So that becomes the square mean of the square. You should go backwards. It is now mean of the square, and then you take the square root of it. So take the square root of it. So therefore, under root of 1 by t, 0 to t, v square t, which will turn out to be, uh, if you just take a signal Vm cos of omega t, if you take a signal, for example, Vm cos of omega t, then it is V under root, here it will be actually Vm square. So Vm, I have taken it outside, and then cos square omega t, one again the same trick, multiply, divide and multiply by omega. So 1 by 2 omega t is 2 pi, and then this integral limit will go from 0 to 2 pi cos square omega t d omega t. And just now we saw that this is half, so therefore square root of half is root 2. So therefore Vm by root 2 is the RMS value or the root mean square value of a voltage signal. Or if it's a current signal, then it's Im by root 2 will be the root mean square value of the current signal. Incidentally, average value of a sinusoid is always 0. Why? Because this area, let's say, is positive, then this area is positive, this area is negative, and if you add these two positive areas, this positive area will cancel out with this negative area, this positive area by symmetry will cancel out with this negative area, so you get two pluses and two minuses, and therefore net is 0. So the average value of a voltage or current, average value of the voltage or current sinusoid is always going to be 0. The RMS value is just a scaled factor 1 by root 2 times of 1 by root 2 times of the amplitude. And since we are mostly all our machines we discuss in terms of watts, when you come to power, it is the watts that matter. So all our calculations will keep on involving RMS values. So therefore, in power engineering, the phasor, instead of defining phasor as Vm amplitude something angle theta, we define it as the RMS value angle theta. I mean in polar coordinates, and then you can, once you know in polar coordinates, you can always convert it into rectangular coordinates. So now onwards, all through the course, without any confusion, whenever I say phasor, I will mean only RMS value. So amplitude will here onwards be written as so amplitude will be root 2 times the magnitude of the phasor. In other words, so the this is very, this should be always kept in mind, that here onwards amplitude is going to be root 2 times the magnitude of the phasor. Okay, so we will see this as we keep on going. So this is the convention which is used in power engineering, because it simplifies the expressions associated with power, active power, reactive power, and so on, and those expressions are very critical in it. Otherwise, if we write the phasor through the amplitude, then a half factor will keep moving everywhere else. This half factor we will have to keep carrying forward everywhere else, and I don't think I need to tell you how easy it is to make mistakes. You keep forgetting these factors, so it's just better to readjust our convention as I just described to you now. All right. Now let us say that I am connecting a impedance Z across my sinusoidal voltage source, and I want to find out what is the instantaneous power, I want to find out what is the average power. I need to find out both these values. If I just 1 second pause and go back uh, to my expression of the, okay, you will see it. I don't need to pause and go back. Let me just continue here. So if I am trying to now find the instantaneous power and the average power which is supplied to this complex impedance Z, which could be uh, a series RLC circuit, which could be a parallel RLC circuit, which could be a much more complex network with its finally two terminals coming out like this. That it doesn't matter. I am not finally I am saying that it can be all be put together as a impedance Z which is available to you. Then now this is my reference phasor. What is the value of the reference phasor? What is the reference phasor description? Vm by root 2 angle 0. So that means cos omega t is taken as the reference signal, and or rather root 2 cos omega t is the reference signal, so that its RMS value is 1 and its angle is 0. And now the current which is going to flow through this, the instantaneous current is I of t, but we will first write the phasor value and then convert it into time domain. So what is my description of the voltage signal? My description of the voltage signal is Vm by root 2 at an angle 0. So because the RMS value is peak by root 2, so Vm by root 2 angle 0 is my voltage description, and Z, the complex impedance, again in polar form is written as modulus Z times angle theta. So if you write, if you take this as the real part of Z and this as the imaginary part of Z and complete this right angle triangle, this is the impedance angle. For example, if it was an inductive circuit R plus j omega L, then the theta would turn out to be positive as shown here. And if you took it as R minus j 1 by omega c, a RC circuit for example, then it would turn out to be, the theta would turn out to be negative, right? So theta can be like, theta could be like here, could be like 30 degrees, and here in that case the theta becomes, for example, minus 30 degrees. So now whatever it is in polar coordinates shown as magnitude of z times of theta. So when you do this complex arithmetic in polar coordinates, the uh, the current phasor has a magnitude of Vm by root 2 times Z, where what is Z? Z is square. For example, here will be R square plus omega square L square by under root, or in this case it will be R square plus 1 by omega square c square whole square root of that. So that is the magnitude of Z which is available to you, and therefore this becomes the phasor value of the current. Let's again put the units. This unit is ampere. Now you can rewrite this to calculate instantaneous power. We need time domain expression. So we can rewrite it in time domain as Vz is equal to Vm of cos of omega t. This was my reference signal. The whole of the Vz is connected to the reference signal. So therefore Vm cos of omega t, and the current lags the voltage by theta degrees, because the voltage has an angle of 0 degrees. The voltage is my reference phasor at an angle 0, and the current phasor is lagging it by theta degrees, where theta is the angle of the complex impedance. So therefore this algebraic equation in time domain will become Vm by root 2 has been missed out, Vm by root 2 mod of z cos of omega t minus theta amperes. And therefore when I write, I'm sorry, this made a mistake, I was right here, no problem. This, see, the RMS value is Vm by root 2 times of modulus of z. So what is going to be the peak what is going to be the peak value of Im? This the RMS value of the current IRMS is, because my phasors are now given with RMS convention, so therefore this is the RMS value. If I ask you what is the peak value, it is root 2 times IRMS, so therefore it is going to be just Vm by Z. So that means if you know that your peak voltage is Vm, just scale it down by the impedance, magnitude of the impedance, and you will get the peak value of the current. If you want to look at the RMS value of the current, take the RMS value of the voltage, which is Vm by root 2, scale it by the magnitude of the impedance, and you will get the RMS value of the current. So peak to peak also the scaling factor is magnitude of Z, and RMS to RMS also the scaling factor is amplitude or magnitude of Z. Alright. Now you know this current that it lags by minus 30 degrees, so its waveform is Vm by magnitude of Z cos of omega t minus Z. So you got the expression for the current, you already have the expression, time domain expression for the voltage, you have time domain expression for the current. Just multiply the two together and you will get the instantaneous power which is being pumped into the Z, or in other words being consumed by the Z. That expression will come out to you. So just look at, let me first write down the units. You will get Vm square by modulus of Z cos of omega t into cos of omega t minus theta degrees. So this is the instantaneous this thing that you will get. Now I want to simplify this product of two cosines. You see, so long as when we were not discussing the power, we were only getting addition of phasors and subtractions of phasors, and that in that case there was only one frequency component, which is omega, which continued all through, because when you add or subtract sinusoids at the same frequency, you get a new sinusoid at the same frequency. But the moment you have product of two sinusoids at the same frequency, then actually you will see that two frequency components come out. Actually there is two frequency components come out, because if I look at this expression 2 cos A cos B, then that is cos of A minus B minus of cos of A plus B. So I multiply and divide it by 2 here and then use 2 cos A cos B, then I get cos of omega t minus of omega t minus theta, which is cos of theta, minus cos of omega t plus omega t minus theta, which is cos of omega t minus theta. That means if I had cos of omega 1 t and cos of omega 2 t in coming in the product form, then I will get one component which is at omega 1 minus omega 2 and another component which will be at omega 1 plus omega 2 when I just want to write it as simple cosine terms. So since here the omega 1 and omega 2 are same, so this becomes a DC signal or a constant value which is cos of theta, over which is superimposed a double frequency oscillation, that is, and it's oscillating at 2f or 2 omega radians per second. So now let us take the average value of this signal, of this power. Instantaneous power is pulsating. You can see that it pulsates around the average value of cos theta, Vm square by 2z cos theta, at a double frequency, and that pulsating component is also phase shifted. Double frequency component is also phase shifted by an angle theta. Now, so once the things are varying at every instant of time, then we want to find out what's the average power that we are going to get, and this requires again the accumulation of the power over a complete cycle and then dividing it by the time period, and this will turn out to be, so if you do this averaging, the first term is constant, so you average from 0 to 2 pi and do 1 by 2 pi, the cos theta will only come out, so you will get Vm square by 2z cos of theta term, and the second term is a averaging over a averaging from 0 to t, and 2 omega t has a time period of t by 2, so it's like averaging two cycles, or averaging over two cycles with a scaling factor of 1 by t, with the scaling factor of 1 by t, while the integrating here is two time periods for 2 omega t, whatever, and then that number is going to turn out to be, that number is going to be number is going to turn out to be 0. Why will it turn out to be 0? First of all, just take any signal, say Vm cos of omega t. Let's say this represents, let's say that this represents one cycle of some xm cos of 2 omega t, some signal which is xm cos of 2 omega t. This is one cycle of it. So this finishes in time period t by 2, where omega is equal to 2 pi by t. So it finishes in this. Now if you look at the averaging, we have to take two such, we have to just copy this whole thing again and just place it here, and then look at the net area which is accumulated and then divide it by t. What is the interval t? This is the interval t. So divide it by this interval t. So what's going to happen? If you just look at the first area, this plus accumulated area will cancel with this half of the accumulated area, then this minus area will cancel with this plus will cancel with again this minus by symmetry will again cancel with the next plus, this minus will cancel with the next plus, so you get four pluses, four minuses, each of one representing an equal number, so the net sum is going to be 0. So the point which I am trying to tell you is that integral of cos of n omega t minus any theta over 0 to t 1 by t is always going to be 0. You verify it algebraically. Instead of this, if you write sine also, it is going to be same. N has to be where n is like 1, 2 natural numbers, 1, 2, 3 and so on. So in that case, this problem is not there. So that other way of saying is average of a fundamental or a harmonic component is also 0. So having said that, now this term integration has gone away when I integrated it over a cycle. this cos theta remained as same. So therefore the what became of the P average? P average is a term which is not instantaneous power. So I don't write T here. I only write P average here, and every time I mean average, I mean average over a cycle. So that number is Vm square by 2z cos of theta. So again I am going to write this as Vm square by 2 is square of the RMS value, because Vm by root 2 is the RMS value of the voltage signal. So therefore Vm square by 2 is V RMS square divided by magnitude of Z times of cos of theta, which I can also write it as V RMS into V RMS by modulus of Z times of cos of theta, which is nothing but looking at which more. I'm just dropping this RMS term every time. To write it is a bit cumbersome. I'm just writing it as VI cos of theta watts. So the moment now the impedance comes into picture with an angle theta, the average power is no more VRMS into IRMS as it had happened in the DC case. Here if you look at it, it was just, if you look at it here, this is nothing but Vrms for the resistor. It was Vrms times Irms, which is very analogous to what we see in a DC circuit and a resistor. Exactly similar thing had come here, but the moment complex impedance comes into play, it reduces from this maximum possible value by a factor of cos of theta, which is also called as a power factor value. So this term mod of V of I, the mod of this term here, the mod of V of I, this is called also as S, the apparent power. This is of course average power, which is a real power, no doubt, the average power. And so we define power factor, which is actually cos of phi. It's written theta there, but I am going to write here as phi, as ratio of average power divided by apparent power, which is P average by, just to emphasize that we are looking at the magnitudes of the phasors, which again to emphasize is Vrms into IRMS. So DC case or pure resistor case, you could accrue as much as power, but because it reduces by a factor of cos phi, this is number very intuitively is called as power factor. It's a scaling factor, so it is unitless. If current lags voltage, let's say for example by 10 degrees say, then we say that power factor is lagging. If the current leads voltage by, let's say, 10 degrees, then we'll say that the power factor is leading by leading by 10 degrees. However, because cos of 10 degrees and cos of minus 10 degrees is same, numerically the value will be same. Whatever is that cos of 10 degrees 0.95 or whatever it is, that same number will come out. So this English description is important in power factor to say whether it is a lagging power factor or a leading power factor. As far as the reduction is concerned, it is only cos of phi. But for better understanding, we need to say whether it is a lagging power factor or a leading power factor. Okay, now let's look at some very specific simple cases. Pure inductor, just like I looked at pure resistor, now let me look at a pure inductor. That means I have a voltage source and it is supplying a pure inductor of omega L. This is Vm cos of omega of t, just to keep it as a reference value, and this is IL of t. So then let my V current phasor in the inductor current is going to be the voltage phasor divided by the impedance of the inductor, which is nothing but the reactance of the inductor, which is nothing but j omega L, and this is at an so this is nothing but equal to Vm by root 2 j omega L angle 0 by angle 90 degrees, which is Vm by root 2 omega L at an angle of minus 90 degrees. So if this is taken as the voltage waveform reference, then the current is IL lags my supply voltage by 90 degrees, and the RMS value has to be scaled by omega L. The peak also has to be scaled by omega L, and this has to be 90 degrees. So now if you look at P average, what will be the P average will be VRMS IRMS cos of 90 degrees, which is 0. So no average power will be consumed by an inductor. So what let's try to understand this again a bit carefully. VL of t is V of t is Vm cos of omega t. I of t is Vm by omega L cos of omega t minus 90 degrees, which is same as Vm by omega L sine of omega of t. Is that correct? So this is my this is the cosine cos of omega t. Now create a lag of 90 degrees. So go in the right hand direction by 90 degrees and then look at your waveform as if it was centered here, the t equal to axis was centered here, and you would get minus of sine of omega t. So therefore this will become minus of Vm by omega L sine of omega of t. And so if you look at the instantaneous power, P of t, that is going to be equal to minus of Vm square by omega L sine of omega t cos of omega t, which is equal to minus of Vm square by omega L by 2 sine of 2 omega t, which is same as Vrms Irms sine of 2 omega t, which is the instantaneous power with the minus sign. And then of course I don't need to recalculate the average. We already know that the average is uh, uh, average is 0. So uh, so now uh, if you plot this in time, if you plot this here, uh, if you plot it here, let me extend this first to complete the cycle. This is 0 degrees, this is pi by 2, this is pi, this is 3 pi by 2, this is 2 pi. Now if you look at minus of sine 2 omega t waveform, then that means this one cycle of sine 2 omega t will complete in half the cycle, which is at pi, and it's coming with minus sign. So you will get a waveform like this, and then a waveform, I'm sorry, why this is will come like this. So what's going to happen? I'll just write this. Okay. Oops. I'm sorry. This no, I have made it. The amplitude has become too long. Okay. So now again, if you look at this, it's a zero average waveform, though it has not come out very well, but it's a zero average waveform. This area and this area will cancel each other. This area and this area will cancel each other. Two cycles have been completed in one cycle of the voltage or the current waveform. In the instantaneous power always completes two cycles in one cycle of the voltage or current waveform. And since since there is no average here, it's all around the zero value, so therefore the instantaneous power will turn out, though the instantaneous power is so many watts, the average power is going to be 0 watts. Now let's look at a capacitor. Okay. Now in a capacitor, what is going to happen? Again, the I have Vm cos of omega t supplying a capacitance of C, which means its impedance is 1 by j omega c, and so its current phasor is going to be equal to j omega c Vm cos of omega of, I'm sorry, I should not have done this. I'm making a bit slight mistake here, trying to do time and phasor both simultaneously. Vm by root 2 is the phasor voltage value. Impedance is 1 by j omega c. So j omega c Vm by root 2 amps is the, if you want you can write it to make yourself comfortable, write it as the RMS amps of the capacitor. So IC of t is going to be, if first of all let's draw the phasor diagram. Again, this is my reference phasor for the source at an angle of V0, and now unlike the inductor, the current leads by 90 degrees. So I get the current waveform as IC is going to be equal to omega c Vm by root 2 cos of omega t plus of 90 degrees, which is equal to omega c Vm by root 2 sine of omega of t amperes. Correct? This is what my current is going to be. So in case of inductor, I'll change the color. In case of inductor, the current was in the previous diagram I had that, so I better to use a dotted line. The current was lagging the voltage phasor by 90 degrees. Now in case of capacitor, the current is leading by 90 degrees. So the current leads now by 90 degrees. Now again, if you look at the average power, because the power factor angle is again, if previously it was described as plus 90 degrees, it will be described as minus 90 cos of minus 90 degrees here, and cos of 90 being 0, it will again turn out to be 0 watts. So P average will always be 0, whether it is a capacitor or inductor. However, if you look at the instantaneous power behavior, P of t now is going to be Vm cos of omega t into Im. What is the Im? Im is this value here. This is Im. Sine of omega of t. This I'll write Pc. So it is Vm Im by 2 into 2 sine omega t cos omega t, which is Vrms Irms sine of 2 of omega t watts. If you recall earlier, for PL of t, what we had got? Vrms Irms minus of sine of 2 omega t watts. Is it not? This is what we had got earlier for the inductor. So the instant by instant there is a 180-degree phase shift or opposition. Exactly opposite is what is going on here. So there is a difference in the way they are behaving. Here it started with with a negative P, and then instantaneous P being negative, and then it became positive. If you do it here for this particular one, it will turn out to be like this, then go like this, then like this, and then like this. So the average effect being same, the instantaneous effect is exactly in phase opposition to that of a inductor. What it means is that they have a cancelling effect. Who? The inductor and the capacitor. See, first let's understand this point very clearly, that the inductors and the capacitors are basically storage devices, energy storage devices. So what's happening with capacitors and inductors is that one half of the cycle, energy is pumped into them, then the other half of that same cycle, the actually this is half the time period, this is again this is half the time period, this is broken into quarter and quarter. So the correct way to saying is, quarter of a cycle the energy is being pumped into the inductor, and the other quarter of the cycle it returns that energy, or it could start by it's just a infinite time behavior. So that's why I just started from here and I said it takes uh, pulls the energy for quarter of a cycle, returns again for the quarter of a cycle, again pulls for the quarter of the cycle, again returns for the quarter of the cycle. So the energy exchange between the source and the magnetic field energy which is stored in the inductor is going on, and this ping pong ball, like in a table tennis or lawn tennis, this is going on. With a capacitor also we are playing the same kind of a same thing is going on. The exchange between the source and the capacitor is of energy which is stored in the electric field, and it's like saying that if there are in a lawn tennis match, let's say this is a first serves, let's say this is the inductor, and so the ball is served from here to here. Then with the capacitor, this is another court. The service starts from here, and the receiver which is the is here. That's all. Other than that, they are playing identically. There is no problem. I mean, if they are having the same reactance values and are connected to the same source, they are playing it identically. But the one, if here the inductor starts the service, then here the service starts at the other end. That's why they have a cancelling or a phase opposition effect which is going on. And the extreme case of it is, I will tell you what is the extreme case of it. The extreme case of it is, let's take a parallel circuit, okay, in which there is an inductor and there is a capacitor, pure inductor and pure capacitor. Okay, now the current which is drawn by inductor is IL, current which is drawn by capacitor is IC, this is I. Okay, now this is my voltage waveform V. The reference is the same because the same voltage is applied across both the inductor and the capacitor in the parallel circuit. IL is this and IC is this. So the phasor value of IL, this is V angle 0. So I will just write it as V angle 0. So this is V angle 0 by XL, which is the inductive reactance, and XC is the capacitive reactance. The current is going to lag by 90 degrees. So I'll write it as minus JVL by V by XL 90 degrees amps, and IC I will write it as plus J V by XC 90 degrees amps, and the net current IL which flows inside is going to be IL plus IC, which I can write as JV 1 by XC minus 1 by XL, which can be a further written as JV omega C minus 1 by omega L. So now suppose at some omega you had a choice of selecting omega, let's say, then by choosing omega as omega c, you could make omega at some omega n, or I'll call omega n, you could make omega n omega nc equal to 1 by omega n L, which is will happen at 1 by under root of LC radians per second. At this value they will cancel out, and so what will happen? I net will become 0 amps. So RMS value is 0. What is the amplitude? 0. So therefore what is this waveform? 0 cos omega t or something, or in other words I net of t is 0 identically everywhere. So this is very interesting, is it not? This situation is very interesting. Each of them draws current, but because they draw in phase opposition, nothing in the net cancel is in the steady state is drawn from here, which means that they just work among themselves, transferring energy from one to another. So at one time one of them acts like source, pumps into another one, then that another, after some time this becomes the source, pumps into another one, and once the steady state interaction has been set up, nothing comes or goes from this situation, from this one. This is called also a condition of parallel resonance, and at parallel resonance the impedance, which is the voltage by net current, is infinite. For a LC combination it is infinite. Any other frequency where it doesn't cancel out, you will get a finite impedance. So at, if you plot the impedance, let's say this is the omega n frequency, it will go to infinity and then again start reducing from there. Okay, drawing, I think I need to be more careful about my drawing when we have to check it. In reality, however, circuits will always have a resistance also, so it will not ever be a pure parallel LC circuit. Now, there will be always some resistive component sitting here. So therefore, this can be would draw, in which case a V by R as the net component would be drawn from it. The point is, this is how the thing that I was trying to tell you is that this is how the capacitor and the inductor, their behavior changes. This, I don't want to get into resonance discussion, because if I go into parallel resonance I can also discuss series resonance also, and then draw all the impedance diagrams and all that. I just don't want to get into that right now. A more important thing that I want to do is now define a concept of reactive power. Okay. Generally our circuits are inductive, so you will find that I draw current to be lagging here. Now P average, I have defined it as Vi cos phi. These are the phasor RMS values of V and I. So therefore drop a perpendicular here, and this is the I cos phi component, and this component here will become, let me draw this as I sin phi component. So what it means is that the projected component of the vector I or phasor I on current is used for calculating average power, but the quadrature component is absolutely ineffective. It doesn't have any role to play in delivering the average power. So this thing which is lost, this this effort we could not gain, we could not achieve anything from this component, the voltage and the quadrature component of the current to the voltage waveform. This is called as reactive power. So or I'll write R in small, product of voltage and current, and R indicates the reactive one. So, so the unit of this is watts. We don't want to write these units as watts because zero average. This is not actually, this is the component that we could not produce any work. Average work was produced as if the current was in phase with V and had a value of I phi, cos phi, and the quadrature component is the one which completely did not help produce any average work. So therefore we don't want to write its unit as watts, but it is still product of voltage and current, so therefore we write it as VA. But if you don't write anything else, again it amounts to saying that it is watts, which is not what we want to say, because it's only, we are just keeping track of the component that we are losing. So we use additional term here called R and say that V average, V, I'm sorry, this is not VI sin phi. VI sin phi. VARS is, we define this as the reactive power. Average power was not defined. Average power is over a cycle, that's it, and it's there. Reactive power is a term that we have defined. This is a new term which we have introduced. It's a term which implies that reactive means actually it's just a consequence, a reaction, a consequence of power exchange which was going on in the AC circuits, but actually no work was being done. So Q is equal to VI sin phi. Now, to see the, by my convention, by my convention, this is V, the current is lagging by phi. So P, so the notation, so notationally I am writing this as V angle 0 and I angle minus phi. And with this, I am associating a positive P average and a positive reactive power. With my convention, I am using a positive P average and a positive Q. So what I have to do, if I look at this P average plus, if I, or rather to make, to do the subtraction, I should do to do the subtraction, I should look at Vi star and then multiply by V, so that this will become equal to mod of V mod of I at an angle phi. The star makes the complex conjugate in polar, makes this product, converts it to positive form, which will make it as Vi cos phi plus JVI sin phi, which is nothing but P plus JQ. So what I am trying to now say is, what I am trying to say is that we can define apparent complex power. This is a complex power S, which is equal to P plus JQ is equal to Vi star, is equal to Vi star, and apparent power as square root of P square plus square under root, its unit being volt amperes. Now here we don't write reactive because both P and Q have contributed to it, so we just write it as volt amperes. So active power or average power, which sometimes I call real power. Sometimes I also use the word called active power because active reactive is another way of looking at it. That has a unit watts. Reactive power has unit volt amperes reactive, so var, and apparent power, which is just product of V and I, is simply volt ampere. So this is the convention that we have, and hence we can draw. I'm sorry. Minute. What is happening? I don't know. Okay, yeah. So S P Q. This is called a power triangle. This is called the power triangle, and tan of phi is equal to Q by P. Tan of phi is going to be equal to Q by P. Cos of phi is equal to P by S. These are two formulas that you would uh, very often see uh, in your equations, in your textbooks, and everywhere else. This is what you are going to see. I think we will stop here. We have covered quite a lot of ground here today. So we'll stop here. We'll pause here. Thank you.